guys, and welcome to EllAstrology. This video is about the 10 steps that it takes to become an astrologer. A lot of people have been asking me, how do you become an astrologer? How do you pursue astrology as a career? So this video is basically just a little bit of advice as to how you can go about becoming an astrologer. Okay, so firstly, to be an astrologer, you need to have a very strong, deep passion for the art of astrology. So astrology is something that takes years and years to learn. You can basically learn astrology your entire life and still not know everything about it at the end of your life. Astrology is something that does take very long to learn and very long to master. So you can't really get into it and within a couple of months you have what it takes and you have the knowledge that it takes. So if you want to be an astrologer, you need to be willing to dedicate your life to it. You need to be willing to dedicate most of your free time to it. And also, you need to understand that it's not something that you can learn within a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or a couple of months. It is going to take you a couple of years before you can actually get to a point where your expertise are good enough to actually give professional readings. So if you know you're the kind of person that cannot dedicate yourself to something for that long, and you kind of just want to pursue something that you can get done quickly and get going at it quickly, then astrology is not for you. However, if you know you're a person that can dedicate majority of your life to the art, then astrology is definitely meant for you. The thing about astrology is that you don't really choose astrology. Astrology chooses you. So if you really want to become an astrologer and you're meant to become an astrologer, you most likely will eventually become one. However, you still do need to put in the effort and the work that it requires to be one. Learning astrology is very complicated and it's very frustrating because it's incredibly complex. So if you're going to be a person who's going to give up quickly because it's too complicated, then it's most likely not meant for you. You need to be a person who has a very good understanding of complex concepts. The second point about becoming an astrologer is intuition. So what an astrologer does is they read specific symbols and specific alignments, and then they apply their understanding and their intuition onto it. It is quite important for an astrologer to have somewhat of an intuitive understanding of the world, an intuitive understanding of other people. If you lack intuition, it will be very difficult to be an astrologer because you won't really be able to feel your way through your readings. It's very easy to say to a person, this is how you read a chart. But if a person's only going to apply logical, practical rules onto a reading and not actually add their intuition into it, then it's not really going to be a very good reading. Now, there are two ways you can go about learning astrology. The first way is doing professional astrology courses, and the second way is through self-study. I chose the self-study route because when I grew up, my family didn't really have enough money to spend money on me pursuing an astrology course. So what I did was, for years and years, I researched astrology. I read everything I could possibly about it, and I taught myself the art. When I actually did have the money to buy a course, I did. And what I noticed was the things that I taught myself through self-study was actually more comprehensive and more informative than the stuff I had learned in a course. So when I did the course when I was at the point where I'd already known so much about astrology, it felt like the course didn't help me whatsoever. So I do think that if you're a person who's new in astrology and you don't have any knowledge about astrology whatsoever, a course is very helpful because a course will teach you all the basic fundamentals. A course will give you a very good foundation and building ground for your practice. But one thing I do need to mention is astrology has a lot to do with personal experience. So you can teach a person how to read a chart, you can teach them the textbook ways of interpreting aspects, interpreting the planets and the signs. However, if a person has not actually experienced it themselves, if they've not applied their knowledge onto their everyday life, and they've only learned what was taught to them in a course, the readings will not really have much value. So what I've noticed is the astrologers that are incredibly good aren't only the astrologers that have completed courses, but these are the astrologers that have actually experienced life through astrology, and they've applied astrology to their life. There is a massive difference between a person who did a 6-month astrology course and they learned the textbook fundamentals of astrology and how to use it based on generic interpretations, and a person who's been practicing astrology for 10 to 20 years and they've applied their personal experience onto it. Anyone can go and enroll in an astrology course and learn the fundamentals and the generic basics of astrology. But the thing about astrology is you need to put your personal experience into it. You need to experience it. You need to live it. If you have not used astrology in your day-to-day life and applied your personal experiences onto it, it's going to be very, very difficult to find meaningful interpretations and messages in a reading for your clients. That's why I always believe that courses are helpful, but courses are not completely necessary. And you can study astrology yourself and you can teach yourself everything you need to teach yourself. Courses are helpful when you want to show your clients that you do have knowledge in the field. However, what I have noticed is what is way more helpful in terms of getting people to trust in you and getting clients is word of mouth. So if you've done a reading for a client and that client was really impressed by your reading, they'll go and tell other people how good you are. People won't go tell other people, this person did this in this course. Go get a reading from them. People will tell other people, this person knows their stuff off by heart. This person loves astrology and they understand astrology, so go get a reading from them. So if you want to do a course because you are a complete beginner, that is great. Go ahead with it. But like I said, only doing a course is not really going to be enough to be a good astrologer, because you really need to live astrology. You need to become astrology. You need to apply it to your day-to-day life. Number 5 is, what is your intention? Is your intention to help people understand themselves and to bring knowledge and insight to people about themselves and spirituality? Or is your intention more selfish, such as becoming rich? One thing I can say straight up right now is you will not become rich practicing astrology. If you want to become rich, then rather become an investor or work in a corporate company. If you want to be an astrologer, your main motivation has to be to help people and to bring awareness to people. Your main motivator needs to be actually caring about other people and their best interest. If you're going to put your own best interest first, which is making money or becoming famous or whatever the case may be, your intentions are not right to be an astrologer. People can generally instantly pick up when an astrologer is only doing it to make money, and when an astrologer is doing it for the wrong reasons. So bear this point in mind. If you want to do astrology to become rich and wealthy and famous, then it's not meant for you. There are going to be weeks or possibly even months where you get no jobs, where you get no readings, where you have no clients. However, that's perfectly fine. The thing about astrology is that you are not going to become rich and famous from the get-go. It's going to take you a very, very long time to build a sustainable business for yourself through astrology, where you're actually able to have a reasonable living off of it. Most astrologers, it takes them 10 to 20 years to get to this point. So if you're going to expect to become wealthy and make lots of money through doing readings, you've got another thing coming. Number 6 is you need to have a really good message and you need to have very good insight into the aspects in the chart. So it's very easy to say to a person, you're very emotional because you have a Cancer moon. But what you need to do is you need to give that person some insight as to why they're emotional because they have a Cancer moon. Why are Cancer moons emotional? What causes them to be emotional? What are their emotional responses based on? How can this person go about dealing with their emotions so that they have a better hold and grasp of their emotions in their everyday life? You need to give a client a good message. You need to give them some advice that will truly be valuable to them. You can't just go and say, this is what you are, because then you're not really bringing value to the clients and value to the reading. You need to help guide your clients to overcome certain things, and you need to help guide your clients to understand themselves better. If you're not able to guide people this way, then it's going to be very, very difficult to give valuable readings. Number 7 is about compassion. So if you're an astrologer, you're going to have a lot of people who are incredibly desperate, who are incredibly down and out, and who are in very, very bad situations. A lot of the people that come to you are going to be going through horrible life situations, and they're in some of the worst places that they can possibly be. If you're not going to have a lot of compassion for what they're going through, then you're probably going to make it harder for them. If you're going to be a person who's going to take advantage of the unfortunate situations that they're in, then you should not be an astrologer whatsoever. Being an astrologer is about guiding people through these difficult situations, through having compassion and understanding for these situations and not taking advantage of them. So if you're an astrologer, you need to know how to be compassionate and understanding with your clients. Number 8 is an understanding of esoteric concepts and of spiritual concepts. A lot of the interpretations in astrology are based on esoteric and spiritual concepts. Having an open mind and an understanding of these concepts will be incredibly valuable if you're an astrologer. Astrology basically looks at how the soul and the spiritual influence of your being affects your psychology. So a natal chart is basically the blueprint of your soul. And the natal chart basically explains to you how this specific blueprint affects how your psychology works. So you also need to have quite a good understanding of psychology and how people think. Understanding other people, how their minds work, and how their emotional natures are is a very, very important thing to have if you want to be an astrologer. If you don't understand people very well and you don't connect with people, it will be quite tricky. Number 9 is it's not about predictions. It's about helping people understand themselves. A lot of people want to get into astrology because they think, oh, they can predict when a person's going to get married, or they can predict when a person's going to have a baby, or they can predict when a person's going to lose their job, or whatever the case may be. Now, there is some truth to this. In astrology, you can look into when there are certain planetary alignments and aspects, and it can influence people's lives in certain ways. But an astrologer cannot say for sure that on a specific day you are going to meet the love of your life, or on a specific day you're going to die, or this is going to happen. An astrologer can give you advice as to what the energies of that day will be, but an astrologer can't say for sure that this is going to happen. If you want to get into astrology because you want to predict things for people, then you're getting into it for the wrong reasons. Astrology is a very, very deep psychological and spiritual art that you use to help people come to an understanding within themselves, especially a spiritual understanding. I've noticed astrology is one of the best tools to raise spiritual awareness and consciousness in people. Astrology is not about predicting stuff. And then the last thing that I want to mention about how to become an astrologer is you need to practice it all the time. To be a professional astrologer, you need to practice astrology every single day of your life. You will be learning new things about it every single day. You will be adding new concepts and ways of calculating and ways of interpreting things onto your art all the time. You need to be constantly evolving the knowledge of your art. You need to be constantly evolving what you know about it. What makes a very good astrologer is if they are constantly learning and constantly evolving, and they're just broadening the knowledge of a topic. So that's why, like I mentioned earlier, you can go do an astrology course. That's perfectly fine to get some information about it. But the thing is, if you're just going to do that course and think that's all it takes, then you have another thing coming. Astrology is a way of living. Astrology is a way of life. To be an astrologer, you need to apply astrology to your day-to-day life, and you need to practice it every single day. You need to broaden your awareness of it all the time. Okay guys, so this is just my video on what it takes to become an astrologer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to add in the comments, please let me know. And if you want to see some more astrology content, then do subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time.